New Day Cleveland, that's right, it's that time of year. The city pools are open, vacations are in full swing. So what can you do to keep your children and grandchildren safe when swimming? That's why Gina Robinson, Dr. Gina Robinson is here. She's a pediatrician at the Cleveland Clinic. And this is one of those things, we were just talking about how fragile you feel kids are when they're really young, but they really are fragile when they get to the swimming pool or a place like that, the first experience there, right?
Definitely. So it's important to introduce them to the water early and introduce water safety early, but you want to be safe about it, definitely.
You want to prevent that drowning,
exactly.
Possibility of drowning. And it can happen, give us a demonstration, how fast can that happen? You're looking at this scene here with all these kids.
With just a matter of seconds, it can happen. So you definitely want to be there. You want to, whenever you're swimming, make sure you have an adult there who knows CPR, because just those few seconds can be the difference between life and death.
Do you have anything to say to parents who think it's a good idea to just throw the kid in to learn how to swim?
I never want to just throw them in. It's nice to kind of take them in with you and get them comfortable in the water and let them learn how to be comfortable, but never just throwing them in. I don't think that's the way to go.
I was always worried about how much water they drink and gulp while they're in the pool and wonder how that affects their stomach.
Well, definitely, you don't want to drink too much water. You don't want to drink any water while you're in the pool. There's bacteria that can be in the water, and that can cause a variety of stomach bugs and things like that. So you definitely want to try to avoid drinking water while you're in the pool. Another thing to remember is to take a shower before and after you get out of the pool, before you get in the pool, to wash any kind of bacteria off of your skin, because you're thinking about the other swimmers.
Yeah.
And then after as well, so that you can wash that bacteria off. That's also important to prevent skin infections. If you have a cut or an open area of skin, if you wash that bacteria off afterwards, then you're less likely to get an infection.
Be clean going in, be clean after you come out.
Definitely.
Okay, how about those things, I see those rubber things stuck in kids' ears.
Right.
Why do they do that? What's that about?
The earplugs. A lot of people are concerned about swimmer's ear. Swimmer's ear is pretty common, so some people use earplugs to try to prevent swimmer's ear. When the water sits in the ear canal for a prolonged period of time, that can actually set you up for that kind of infection. Some people also use swim caps to try to prevent that. But the best thing to do is just to try to keep the ears clean and dry. And some people will even use a hair dryer on a low setting to dry the ears out afterwards.
So that's a good idea. Q-tips, that's too small to be sticking in there?
You don't really want to stick anything in your ear that's larger than your elbow.
That's pretty funny. That's a big ear. Larger, that's pretty hard to do, too.
Right, exactly.
Hey, sunburn, you think that's an easy one to remember, but you got kids playing out there, they go in and out of the water. How often should you put stuff on kids to prevent sunburn?
Definitely every hour, or after you come out of the pool, or if you've been sweating heavily. The best way to deal with sunburn is to try to prevent it in the first place. So you want to put your sunscreen on at least half an hour before you're out in the sun. A good rule of thumb is to use about the amount that fits into a shot glass every time you apply your sunburn.
That's good information.
Your sunscreen, rather.
Yeah. Is there a special kind you like more than others?
You want to have at least an SPF of 30.
Any brand names or anything?
Not any particular brand names, but at least that SPF of 30 is what you should be looking for.
One thing I always notice when I walk into a pool area, you take a sniff of the air and it smells like chlorine and who knows what else. Are kids susceptible to having bad reactions to any of this? And what do you do?
Some people are, definitely. Chlorine is great because it does help kill some of the germs, but too much chlorine can cause vomiting, it can cause coughing. If you're an asthmatic, it can trigger asthma attacks. So you definitely want to check with the pool staff to find out, what their practices are, how often they check their levels. Some people even use salt filters, which use less chlorine, and there are also UV filters as well.
This brings up something to me. I was looking at my notes, and somebody talked about amoebas a little bit. And a lot of folks aren't going to the pool where there's chlorine and that kind of stuff. They're going to the river, to the creek, to a lake, to the cabin, that kind of stuff. So that's a whole nother bag of worms, isn't it?
Definitely. And with the hot weather, the bacteria and the amoeba can grow a little bit more. But when I was in medical school, I was taught when you hear hoofbeats, look for horses, not zebras. So amoeba, those kind of infections are not very common. Some things that you can do to try to prevent that is when you're swimming in a freshwater lake or river, don't put your head under the water completely. Try not to get water up your nose. Those are two important things. And if after you've been swimming, if you feel sick, definitely call the doctor and check things out. If you feel really sick, go to the emergency room.
Yeah. Hey, so one last question. Kids fall and scrape themselves, get little cuts and that sort of thing. Is there a special attention you should pay to a cut or a scrape in a pool or river or lake area?
It's best not to go swimming in a freshwater body of water if you have an open cut.
Number one, right?
Right, definitely. But clean it off, definitely. Keep it covered. You can use a waterproof bandage if you're swimming in a pool.
Okay, I want to run my kids over to your office. Where are you?
We are in Mayfield Village at 6559 Wilson Mills Road. I work for Cleveland Clinic, and you can find us on the website as well.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And have a great 4th of July.
Thank you.